In today's episode, we are going to show you a technique that you can do that can help you enhance your life in literally seconds. Stay tuned.
Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. Hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
Welcome to Hope, Healing, and Transformation. And today we have got a special guest, and it's someone very dear to my heart. She's got a brand new book coming out, and this work that she has been doing has transformed my life. It's transformed many people's lives, and we are here to share the story. So Cherie Lindberg is my guest today. Cherie, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you so much for the warm reception and the opportunity to come and share and be with you and your listeners.
Oh my God, absolutely. And you and I met in a very, very odd way. And now I feel like I'm your groupie. It's so crazy. But Cherie, you've been doing, you and I met through a course that I was teaching. And you said to me, hey, let me give you one of these sessions. Because I'm sitting there going, what is it that you do? You know, I was trying to understand it. And then I had this session with you. I remember exactly where I was, and it blew my mind. And, you know, we're going to talk about Brainspotting. We're also going to talk about Cherie's new book as well. Tell me, you want to share what Brainspotting is and how you got into this? Because I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. So a lot of the stories in the book, but I had post-traumatic stress disorder and did not know it until I was in grad school. You know, you take the abnormal psych class and you think you have every single thing in there. And I started a process of healing. And I first started with EMDR. I'm trained in that, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And it helped reduce my symptomology, but my soul did not come alive until I did Brainspotting. And Brainspotting, I feel, is a consciousness healing tool that helps people go very, very deep into their psyche, to where the imprints of trauma live, and they live in our body. And when I did my first Brainspotting session during a training, I got connected with that little girl inside of me that was like, I can do anything. And she had boundless energy, and she loved the world, and she loved people. And when I got in touch with her again, my energy was off the charts. And that was the beginning of, I would say, me rising, me being able to share my gifts and my authentic self with people. I was no longer fearful. So the trauma didn't have sway. And so I wanted everyone to know about this, because there's so many people living with PTSD thinking they have to be, you know, really medicated, and that it can't shift. And I just want to be a voice for hope that yes, it can. And I no longer meet the criteria. I don't have the symptomology anymore. And so I just want people to know that.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it is mind-boggling. And I will share, I'm going to share to everybody my story. And I always had this block about finances. Okay. And I'm just going to, for those of you who are watching, it's a magic stick. All right. This is what I call it. It's like a pointer. It's crazy. And I remember saying to Cherie, all right, I want to work on the block that I have around finances. And I swear to you, I thought that my mum and dad had got this loan shark going on. So I just thought it was okay that, you know, loan sharks were fine, and that I had this fear of money and everything else, until I realized that my mom what I hadn't been told. You know, a lot of people are like, you've been told this, you've been told that, but it's the fact that I was not told what this guy was coming around for every Friday night. And I just kept seeing my mom handing out money, thinking it was a loan shark. But really, my mom was being the responsible adult because my dad needed to save up to pay his golf club membership dues, which is where he got all of his customers from, because he was self-employed. And I just thought my dad was so irresponsible with money, and I had to get over it. And it really unlocked this old story I had told myself in my
Mhm.
brain, which is quite funny actually, because I put, I did this at an event, and I put this picture of a big loan shark up, and like my family being shackled to this thing, but that was what my mind
Mhm.
was. But in reality, my whole brain had been told something. I told myself something and was completely something else. But that is the power of the work that you do and what you're talking about in the book, that we have the ability to unlock so much without the help of a variety of other different things that maybe some people get
Right.
prescribed, which is not bad, but there are other
Right.
ways.
Right. We have this innate healer inside of us. And in brain
Right.
spotting, where you look affects how you feel. These are called brain spots.
Hmm.
And to me, they're really portals into your soul. That's how I see them. And you go in there and you call yourself back, all of these parts of you that got lost because of experiences you didn't understand growing up, stories that you told yourself. Because when you're telling yourself something like that at 10 years old, maybe you don't have all the facts, and you think that
Right.
that's the story, or you interpret a family story, generations of a family story. And so when we can unlock these things and give ourselves an upgrade, what I call an upgrade or a new perception, this is where our freedom comes from. We can heal all
Yeah.
those stories that have been running in there that are false. There's a lot of false stories we tell
Right.
ourselves.
Yeah, we do. And I always say we create the Hollywood drama in our head, and we don't even win awards for it
Right.
sometimes. I'm like, come on, can we at least get an
Yeah.
Emmy or
Mhm.
something? I think when we create these stories, we then impact, and everybody talks about you can heal 7 generations back and 7 generations
Yes.
ahead. And I think with this work, I have truly seen how that can
Mhm.
happen, because the stories that I have been telling my son, you mentioned it, generational, he's now carrying
Mhm.
in, and he'll then carry it somewhere else. And that will then go on to something else and something
Right.
else. And I think this is massive. Have you noticed that when we talk about generational healing, have you noticed how many people have to heal from that?
There's so many. Yes, and in fact, I'm doing some really deep generational work right now. Daniel Four, his last name's spelled Foor. His book is called Ancient Medicine or Ancestral Medicine, excuse
Right,
me, and it's about working with your lineage. And so, people that have passed on,
right.
well lineage and unwell lineage, and I'm using brain spotting with that now. So all of a sudden,
Wow.
I have a lot of people coming in. Like finances typically is a generational thing, to where there's scarcity, and it can go back many, many generations. So it's a common issue that people process. Or for therapists or healers, fear of being seen is another huge pattern.
Mm.
Um, and so we're starting to go back into the lineage and see, where did it begin? Where did it start? And so he has a really some beautiful classes on how to do that. And then I just use the brain spotting to accelerate this. So I'm meeting ancestors I didn't even know existed. Ancestors that I know that are like, they're ancient, but they're like me. They've done deep spiritual work on the other side. And now they're coming forward and saying, hey, we'll help you out here, which I could use some help here on earth
Right,
for sure.
right. Now, I think this is important, that, obviously you've just completed your PhD.
Thank you.
Congratulations,
Thank
which
you.
was a whole huge undertaking. But I think this is really important to actually share, because I've sat in many trainings with you, how you also embrace that spiritual
Yes.
side. You were in a brain spotting training when you found out that there was a
Yes.
death. What Share with the everyone about how you incorporate spirituality with the brain spotting, because I think that's so powerful in how you
Thank you.
do it.
Yeah. So this was about 3.5 years ago. I was in a training with a colleague, and my best friend's husband called me and said, I don't know if she's alive or dead. And I knew she had passed because I saw her standing right next to me.
Right.
And that was such, I can't even use language to explain what that experience was like. But I told my colleague, because I'm like, I don't know if I can continue this training. And she's like, well, why don't we brain spot? Which I'm so grateful that she said that. So I talked with my best friend's husband, reassuring him that I would contact him later that day. And thank goodness it was during a lunchtime. And to my right is where she was standing. And so that was my brain spot. And I was listening inside, and she was telling me things like, this is how I wanted to leave the earth. I did not want my family to see me suffer. It's okay. It's beautiful. Do not worry about
Mm.
me. She was telling me things like, you take care of everybody on earth, and I'll take care of everybody when they transition. And then she told me I needed to be a death doula, which I did not know what that was. And I
Right.
have since looked it up, and I'm like, hey, no way, Kim. That's her name, Kim. I'm like, no way. I've done 25 years of being in the deepest, darkest caves of trauma, and now I'm going to be helping people transition. So she actually had the last laugh because and I kid you not, a week later, a death doula contacted me and asked if
Wow.
she could work with me. So I have been working now with mediums and psychics and death doulas as they're helping folks transition. I'm not directly doing that work, but I'm working with them because of all the different energies that come with working
Hmm.
in that population when people transition and so forth. And so my gifts started to open up after this as well. And so I talk about that in the book because I have so many healers that are coming to me and
Yeah.
they whisper. It's really funny because they'll whisper like, I saw my dead relative during a brain spotting session, and they're afraid. They're so afraid of people being critical of them or thinking, all the negative things. And I just think that this is a natural progression because when we
Right.
do this work, we are connecting to the subcortical brain, and even neuroscientists talk about this, that is the seat of our soul, that is the seat
Hmm.
of self, it's the seat of creativity and spirituality. And why it makes sense if we're connecting to that deeper part of our brain, why wouldn't people start to expand and have more spiritual experiences? And after reading the neuroscience research about just having a belief in a higher power, you are going to have an
Right.
80% buffer to depression and at risk behaviors and so forth. So, why are we not talking more about this? So, yes, I want to bring
Right.
the science to the woo. I want people to see that this is a natural capacity we all have. And so, yes,
Yeah.
I definitely talk about that for sure.
I think this is amazing. And actually, after level two, a week later, I was finishing off the CSA group. And I actually said, we're going to do a brain spot here. I said, I'm going to take you into finding your own spot, into accessing intuition.
Mhm.
And we just did this gaze spot. And I practiced it on myself first, and I've realized my spot is right down
Mhm.
here. And when I access that, I'm like, holy crap! The stuff just goes. It's almost like it's
Mhm. Yeah.
accelerated, and it was unbelievable. And I remember doing this thing in the class and saying, find this place of gratitude, and now I want you to
Yes.
embody it. I had They were just literally crying
Mhm.
and cry, and I think that changed everything when they went, how did you do that? I went, no, I didn't do it, you did it. And
Mhm.
and it takes me back to the old saying that Louise Hay said to me when I first said to her, your book changed my life. She said, no, darling, I just gave you the tools.
Mhm.
And I never forget her saying
Mhm.
that to me. And it's exactly the same
Yes.
here. because the intuition is is such a key to our safety,
Mm-hmm.
our knowing, our making decisions, that we get trapped in this block of decision making in every single day, that if we could just unlock this intuitive part of us, it would change everything.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I love about this work is teaching people how to access what's naturally inside of them. The answers that everyone seek is inside. They're
Mm,
inside each and every one of us. We have our own wisdom. Sometimes you need somebody to support you in going inside because you've been programmed not to believe in yourself. There's so much
right.
cultural stuff about, making you feel less than. But what I want to do is correct that and teach everybody how to access it within inside themselves because they're wise beyond all measure than they even realize.
Right. Yeah, I that's what I love. And I think for years, this whole science and spirituality has to
Yeah.
meet, because there now is
Yes.
evidence. I mean, look at Joe Dispenza's work, look at Greg Braden's
Mhm.
work, obviously, this work. If you start seeing how intuition, spirituality, even communication with the other side,
Yes.
healing, accessing past lives, it's all down to how our brain there, and there is
Yes.
science. you know I remember doing a session with a client, and we were, I was getting her with this a magic stick, and she went, oh, all of this relates back to past life.
Mm.
And we uncovered who it was and where the past life was associated, and she's like, I can't wait to speak to them. And when they spoke to each other, it was so funny. She said, when I spoke to them, it was almost this, well,
Mhm.
of course that was it. It was almost this awareness of, well, sure, of course it happened like centuries ago or
Mhm.
whatever. But it was such an innate part of that deep brain and that deep sense of knowing that was
Yes.
powerful.
I'm
You
so
know,
excited that the neuroscience is finally catching up and people that are taking risks. Like for example, Tara, and I hope I'm saying her name right, Swart came out with the
Tara
came out
Swart.
with the
Yeah.
source. Well, I've
Oh yeah,
already
and
pre-ordered her book, Signs, because she's been on a
yes.
podcast talking to her husband who passed on, and she's using
Yep.
neuroscience to
Yep.
show the capacity that our brains have. So I'm really excited. That book's coming out, and I've already pre-ordered it.
I will be honest, I actually studied with her. She was my first intro to
Beautiful.
neuroscience. I did my neuroscience for leadership with her, and the source changed my life, the
Hmm.
book. And now she has, because her husband passed away 4 years
Yep.
ago with
Yep.
leukemia. And then she started to see all these signs, which, we can put it down as confirmation bias. When you're seeing those you buy a red car and all you see are red cars, it's just your brain trying to, say, hey, you're right. But I do think as a neuroscientist, she has absolutely stepped out of the
Hmm.
box, and she has stepped herself into a place that is balancing the woo and the
Yeah.
science. And I have tremendous respect for
Hmm.
her. Plus, she's English, so
There's that too, of course.
yes, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. So let's dive into something here that you talk about in the book. Is you talk about journey
Hmm.
work, and if this is okay with you to talk
Absolutely.
about, 'cause it's out in the book. um and one of the things that I obviously do is I also do some journey work. But having done this work as well, I also felt that I was on this mini journey going into, especially when I was using different
Hmm.
eyes, I felt like I was on this massive
Hmm.
journey. How did you feel? Obviously, and we're talking plant medicine here, guys. So, but it's shamanic
Hmm.
journeying, and that can be done in a variety of ways, such as breath work and drumming, or taking ayahuasca or San
Hmm.
Pedro, or whatever the modality
Hmm.
is. And so, Cherie, when you were talking about your journey work, I mean, what was that like now with the brain
Hmm.
spotting and then the journey work? I mean, what was the comparison like? I mean, tell me your whole
Yeah.
experience
Well,
there.
I kind of my experience, my lived experience has been that brain spotting feels very much like doing plant medicine. So when I
Right.
go to Peru, which I'm due to go in October again, and I'm taking a group, and I work with Altamusayus in Peru, like the highest level of healers. The folks will come and they'll do some chuma, and we'll have sacred ceremony, and then we'll brain spot on the sacred land. I don't take the medicine anymore because I feel very much that brain spotting, when you go deep into your subconscious,
Mhm.
that you are creating the same brain chemicals. And I
Right.
feel very much like I'm on a journey the entire time I'm in Peru. I see my ancestors in the mountains. I hear whispers in the wind, very much nature based, and the animals tend to come. So I'm kind of doing things backwards. For years, people have said that they see me as a shaman and I should get shamanic training. And I resisted that because I had not a very good experience with a
Right.
first shaman. But the people I'm working with now, Tito and Tupac and Wilka Pichu, there's three brothers, are very much part of integrity. And so I bring groups there, and I just feel like there's so many layers and you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And brain
Mhm.
spotting
Mhm.
accelerates it. So 2 years ago, we were on a
Right.
trip and we were out by the Temple of the Moon, and we were sitting down and we were all brain spotting, each other. And I get these like sacred messages, these downloads that come, and you're all going to get a chance to read that in the book. They're in the book, what I was told. I started to learn that when I'm actually holding space for people in their healing work, that I'm channeling. And I knew
Mm.
something was happening different in my body, but I didn't recognize, oh, and now I'm starting to recognize when I'm channeling and when I'm not. Like my body feels different. I have a deeper knowing, and it's coming from spirit, right?
Right.
I never believed, and I want everyone to know this, never believed in spirit guides, folks, and was, pretty skeptical about past lives. Well, guess what? All of a sudden, I'm starting to connect with these white, flowy beings, and they're talking to me and giving me wisdom. And I'm starting to have these very specific scenes of being burned at the stake and being
Mhm.
killed many, many different times, watching myself die. And I'm like, why am I making this up very specifically, right? So again, I think spirit was very wise. They slowly worked me and
Yep.
helped me be able to open up to these things. And now being able to be open, people are coming to me all the time and sharing these lived experiences. And just because we cannot back everything by science doesn't mean it's not real. More and more people are
Right.
having these, beautiful experiences. So in terms of a journey, it lives on, really. It continues.
Right.
I'm still in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that once you've had the medicine in you, it just ignites as and when you need it, and I find that the more I'm doing it, the less I need.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's interesting. And it's I was talking to somebody just last week, and she wants to come and work with me regarding the journey work, and I said, you know what? Why don't we have a brain spotting session first? I said, I bet you will unlock a lot more rather than you have an expectation of what this medicine's going to do for
Hmm.
you. And let's do it that way. And she went, oh, she said, so I don't need anything. I went, no. And I think it's very interesting how, there, so many people think that they have to do this, but there's other
Yeah.
ways. So, journeying work, and I do feel I use it every single day now. Whenever I do my visualization, I find that I can do visualizations much stronger where I'm finding a
Yep.
spot and able to tap
Yep.
into. And I would love to actually maybe help everybody understand where they can find their spot shortly. But I also do it with my own meditations, my
Hmm.
own writing,
Yeah.
everything else. I think this has been such a powerful, powerful
Yeah.
tool. So when we're talking about it, and I want to come on to your book shortly, but when we're talking about just a spot, we're talking about a gaze
Mhm.
spot. How can someone find that gaze spot for themselves, just to kind of find where it might
Yeah,
be?
so know that certain gay spots can change over time, but we start with
Hmm.
the body. So being able to have body awareness, going inside. So like for me, I call it my spiritual spot. Every morning I come down here. I actually have three. There's three spots where I can access spirit. And I have two Peruvian paintings here, and then I have another spot in this beautiful tree that's outside my window here. And so depending upon where I can access, and today it seems to be right here because I can feel it. I'm looking at a puma. And so as I'm looking at the puma, my chest just feels open, and I can and this is
Mm.
how I feel when I am really really connected to spirit. And then I'm here to listen. I'm here, I'm like, I'll say a little prayer, and I ask to be grounded in my divine self, and I ask, to give me information, anything that I need, so that I can share. Maybe with your listeners today, that is going to be for their higher good. And what I'm hearing back as I said that is, please listen, please hear. You are all capable of this. It takes practice. You can build this internal muscle inside yourself. The answers you seek are inside. And I kind of already said that earlier. And so that was a direct communication that just came. And so that's
Amazing.
how, to get access. And it takes practice, but you want to feel connected to spirit in your body. You want to feel positive as much as you can. And that's the positive physiology. We're connecting through our body, where we feel open, where we feel connected to spirit. And it took me time to be able to
Hmm.
do that. I was really good at finding where the crap was, where the traumas were, where the negative stuff was. I was always seeking that, right? And now in my learnings and my teachings, I'm teaching about post traumatic growth. How do I bring in
Yes.
joy into my body? How do I connect in spirit so that I am operating from my highest self and not parts of me that still hold the trauma? So that's
Yeah.
one way. And some people call it their God spot, spirit spot. It's where you get access and feel the most connected.
So when you talk about post-traumatic growth, I think this is such a phenomenal, like, just phrase. What does it mean truly on that soul level?
Well, first of all, I want people to know it doesn't mean you've cleared all your stuff. It doesn't mean that like you're squeaky
Yeah.
clean, right? Because that's part of being human and being here. We have to have
Yeah.
contrast to be here and live here. But what it means is that it is not the driving force of you being here. Like you're not being hijacked every single day, by your traumas. It's actually taking what has happened to you and creating purpose and message and living into that and being able to bring joy in. And the trauma is not your identity. It's what happened to
Mm.
you. Post traumatic growth is, how do I want to take that in, make meaning out of it, and move forward and live the best, highest life that I can.
Mm. Yeah. It's like an integration. It's like the integration into life.
Mhm.
We're trying to, how are we going to bring this into life? I think this is so healthy because I was working with a client recently who, and we were just dealing with a lot of stuff. And then I said, let's do a spot on bringing gratitude. And she went, wow, this is just because what we were doing is we had gone into, as you said, the
Right.
yucky, yeah. But now suddenly we were in this. Now I want you to have this gratitude. I want you to find
Mhm.
this place. And she messaged me. She's like, I'm doing this every day now,
Beautiful.
which it's
Yeah.
amazing how it can change. So, guys, I'm really going to encourage you to find something, even if it's just a moment of being grateful, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
Just find something, whether it's your child, a book that you've read, going outside, looking at the nature, and then really have that body experience and find a
Mhm.
spot just by moving your eyes. You don't have to keep turning. Move your eyes and find that spot until it really intensifies in your
Yes.
body, and just hold that gaze and just breathe into that
Yes.
space. It is such a powerful thing.
Mhm.
So, Cherie, let's talk about your
Mhm.
book, Sacred Knowing. What inspired you to write this book?
I wanted people to have hope. And because the world that we live in
Mm,
right now is very scary, and I just feel
mm,
like trauma is accelerating. And I
mm,
wanted people to know that, a lot of folks look at my life and they're like, oh, she has it all together, and she's successful and all this. And I just want people to know it's from the internal work. It's all from the internal work, and you are just as capable as I am. The sacred knowing means sacred knowing in yourself. Everyone has
mm.
sacred knowing of themselves. And, sometimes you might need mentors or coaches or supports along the way. And so I talk about discerning, finding people that are aligned, what that means, what that looks like, because like everyone else, I've been duped before. I've thought I've had a
Yeah.
mentor and only to find out that they were not aligned, right? And so I talk about that as well. And I give little exercises in there, just like what you just did, how to find these beautiful spots, and how to find mentors to bring all of this together on this journey of healing. And then moving past healing into the post traumatic growth. And also, there's some talk in there about challenging the systems with which we live in. I think as a
Yeah.
Western culture, on some level, we can be a little thinking that this is the only culture that's out there. And I just want to honor the indigenous knowledge that is out there, and it's
Yeah.
been around for a heck of a lot longer than Western culture. And now we're just science is starting to prove what they've known for millions of years.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
so honoring that as well, and questioning the systems, and asking people to have some critical thinking, in
Yeah.
that, are you aligned with who you really are, or are you just like, running a program, which means, are you just reacting to life, or is this who you really are? So I ask some really provocative questions in there, give some journal prompts, and there's plenty of opportunity for people to find me. I'm all over the place in terms of on YouTube and TikTok and so forth, sharing little bits and pieces of all these different things.
Yeah, I think this is really needed. So, this book sounds to me a lot as though it's a lot of life experience, but also a way of not just reading the life experience, but really now, hey, how can I help
Yes.
you? Here's some actions, here's some exercises. It's not just the read and be done, it's the let's go on the journey together, from what I'm hearing.
Yes. And I talk about brain spotting. I also talk about parts work, which is we are multiple, and how we all have different
Hmm.
parts of ourselves, and that, is normal. So I'm trying to normalize that science and help people recognize that. Like, you have a part of you that's, a therapist, you have a part of you that's a mother or a sister, you have a part of you that wants to eat the candy bar, and you have a part of you that wants to exercise and be thin, right? So we also talk about how our psyche is multiple, and how brain
Yeah.
spotting brings all those parts together for harmony, so we can live internally more in harmony, with ourselves. And I also use this for business owners. I have a high performance mentoring group that I'm going to run for 6 months and help all these business owners be able to expand their businesses. So this work is so universal. It's
Hmm.
spiritual. It's core to who we are as human beings, and it's helping people get access to their highest potential.
Right. I think it's amazing. If I just may go circle straight back to the death doula thing,
Sure.
just because, only because I find it fascinating, because again, it's the work that
Yeah.
I've done and it's everything. But I find that when people are facing their end of
Hmm.
life, all of a sudden they want to make peace.
Yes.
They want to make right. They want to but they don't know how to.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of people, especially when they're in chronic illness, because this is how I use it. They're in massive chronic illness space, and when we're in that place, we start doing the work, and they start realizing where they want to have conversations and who they want who they want to have conversations with.
Mhm.
And I've found that it really does help
Yes.
them in this
Yeah.
space. Have you noticed that
Absolutely. I
yourself?
had one woman that came to me who had terminal cancer, and the doctors were
Hmm.
predicting, 3 years, and her family was really struggling. And we did brain spotting, and Jesus came in,
Oh,
her relatives that had passed on that she was very interested in knowing if they would be there at the end. And she had a conversation with Jesus and a conversation with all these relatives. And it was one session, it was like an hour and a half. And she's like, I'm
mm,
really at peace now. I'm going to go home and
mhm.
share with my family what happened here today. And, I was like, wonderful, that's beautiful. And it was one session, right, and an hour and a half,
Right.
and she was very much at peace. So obviously those are really, really beautiful. Another session that's coming to mind is, I've had so many mothers who have lost children, and this
Mm,
ends up happening at a training where they're a demo because they're having a really hard time with complicated grief, losing a child, rightly so.
right.
And the child comes in and has said, help my mommy, and
Mm,
I keep that all to myself unless there's a moment in there where the mom intuitively is open and then they're asking because they feel a presence. I've had that happen where the mom's like, I feel like she's here. And I validate it
yeah.
because it's like, she is. And so I don't try to impose any of my own beliefs on people. And there are these opportunities when people are open and they're asking, and then I will share if those
Right.
opportunities are available. So it can so help the living be able to understand that there is life after death. And we
Yeah.
know this. Yeah.
Cherie, thank you so much for being part of this. Your book is coming out, Sacred Knowing, on October 14th. It's already on pre order from September
Yes.
16th. I am super excited. And apparently, someone amazing wrote your
Yeah,
forward as
yeah, I
well, you
wonder who
know.
that might be. Lisa Williams, everybody?
And that's just a testament here, guys, just a testament of how much I believe in this
Mm,
work. It has changed my life, I think, everybody. And it's truly, and I've read some of the book. So I will say it is it was captivating. It was
mhm,
powerful. It really was. Cherie, I just want to you gave a message and it was like, please listen, the answers you seek are inside of
mhm.
you. I just, if you can, I don't know whether you can actually paraphrase that thing, but just what are the final words you want to leave someone with today?
Go inside and believe in yourself. That would be
Mm,
the root of what I would say. And know that there are others on this path, and we're all here to support you. We're all walking this path together.
yes, we
Mhm.
are. Yes, we are. Cherie, thank you so much. Guys, go and get Cherie's book. We'll put everything in the show notes, including the book that she mentioned earlier with by Daniel Four. Um, it has been an absolute honor to have you. And for all of you listening out there, remember you have the ability to heal. You've just got to dive in deep. And thank you for watching and listening to Hope, Healing, and Transformation. My name's Lisa Williams, and I'll see you all next time.
Do you feel a whisper in the back of your mind, like the truth is waiting, but it's hard to find? Well, maybe there's magic in the words she brings. Close your eyes and listen in. Do you want to know everything? What your heart won't say, but your soul can sing. From love to loss and the space between, she's got the light to lift the unseen. hope, healing, and transformation. Do you want to know everything? Do you want to know everything?
Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, the information shared on this podcast is meant to inspire and support you, but it's not a replacement for personalized advice from a qualified professional. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to tune in next time. Until then, take care and keep believing in something better.